This next look is actually inspired by this very necklace. Hey guys, so here I'm using the e.l.f. brow liner. This is in color blonde. You can actually find this liner at Target. It's about $1.99. The color payoff is excellent and the product itself is a little waxy, which is one of my favorite things about it because it helps keep the hair in place. So here I'm just gonna brush that liner through my brow. And the awesome thing about it also is that it has a brow brush on the bottom, which, you know, it's a 2-in-1. So here I'm brushing my brow after putting the product so it distributes it evenly. I am now using the MAC brush 248. It's like a flat brush, and I'm using foundation to kind of carve my brow out. The technique here is called carving the brow. So you want to use your foundation, or if you want it a little more lighter, you can use a concealer and just line the bottom and top of your brow to make it into any shape you please. Do a very light layer. A little goes a long way. And I like to use a duo fiber brush here. This is the 286 from MAC. The duo fiber brushes I love because they blend so easily, and it's kind of tapered at the top, so it makes it really nice to buff that liner or foundation into your skin. I also like to brush the front part of my brow because then it kind of looks a little more natural. It doesn't look so blunt cut on the bottom. See, so there I'm carving the top, and then I'm gonna buff it into my skin. There you go. All right, here I'm using the Anastasia brow gel. It's just a clear gel, and I like to brush it up, give it some texture, and then brush it to the side a little bit so it just kind of flows with the rest of the hair. This brush is actually my Makeup Shack brush. It's the T4. I love this one because it's tapered at the tip, but it's still so fluffy, so it gives you a nice blend. It's also really nice to have it so fluffy like that because it really buffs it into the skin. So the palette I'm using here is the MAC Semi Sweet palette, the ×9. The first color that I'm using is actually Outre. That one is really similar to the uninterrupted original color that we used to have, the Prolonged Wear color. It's kind of like a mustardy brown, which is one of my favorite colors. It creates a really nice, like, natural shadow in the crease for you. So you can really use this on its own. This is a good color for like that no makeup look, the no makeup look. Now I'm going to be using Dance in the Dark. So it's a darker brown. This one, it's kind of like a charcoaly brown, so I'm going to use this right in the crease, nice and tight in the crease. The brush that I'm using for this technique is the 217. It's a MAC brush as well. That one is a little bit tighter. It's not as fluffy as the Makeup Shack T4. So it's going to really deposit that color in my crease. And then I'm going to buff it into the rest of that Outre color that I used. I like to just follow the entire crease. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit more of that Outre color, and I'm going to color on top of that dark brown again. So I'm kind of there mixing both colors because right where they meet, where they lie on top of each other, that's where you want them to really blend into each other. Buff, buff, buff. This one is my NYX. It doesn't actually have a number. Oh, I guess it's brush 15. So you can use this one as a buffer for underneath the eye because it's small and you're working in a small space. And I'm using that same color from the very beginning. Now I'm using a smaller brush because I need to get it more on the lash line opposed to under the lash line. This one is the 228. It's also a MAC brush. And now I'm using that same one, the Dance in the Dark. You always want to go lightest to darkest when you're going to do a smoky eye. So you want to do it in steps. So you want to do like light fading into a darker color. So now I'm going to use the Smolder eyeliner from MAC. I'm going to line the top of my eye, and I'm actually going to use this as a base for my dark shadow that I'm going to lay over on top of that. So I'm going to use that same NYX brush, and I'm going to buff it all into the bottom part of my lid. Eyeshadow primers are meant to be a little tacky just so that the eyeshadow has something to stick to. So that's why I'm going to use the liner, because it's already dark, so it's going to help with that darkness that I want to keep. Brush off any excess. Make sure you use a nice fluffy brush to brush off excess so it doesn't push it into your skin. So now I'm actually using Carbon, which is the black one in that ×9 palette. That's the darkest, mattest black that we carry at MAC. It's so beautiful. I'm using that 217 brush, and I'm using the same brushes because now I'm not going to go lighter. I'm just going to go darker. So it's okay to use the same brush. So I'm using that 217 just to keep that black nice and tight right in the middle crease part, buffing it in. Blend, blend, blend. So I'm going to use that T4 brush again because it's fluffy. I didn't put any more product on it. I'm just using it to help blend into the rest of my shadow because it's so fluffy. The fluffier the brush, the more of a dustier blend that you'll get. These are actually the pressed pigments from MAC. I'm going to be using Jet Couture, and I'm also going to be using a flatter eyeshadow brush. This is the 239 from MAC. So I'm going to be using that one to just dab, and with pressed pigments you want to dab. So I'm going to dab that right on top of my Carbon. Now it's like a super shimmery, sparkly black. Those are so beautiful. They got discontinued from MAC, but they're bringing them back slowly in certain palettes. People just, I don't think, know how to use them correctly. Maybe I'll do a tutorial on pressed pigments. Now that is a lighter one. That one is called Enlightening. And I'm going to use a flat brush. Now that brush actually is called the 247. So that one, I used a different brush because that's a lighter pigment. So I didn't want the dark one to rub off and mix into the light one. So that one I'm actually using just right in the middle of the lid, just to give it some dimension. Now I'm going to use the Carbon on the bottom to line where my lash line is. That brush I'm using there is the MAC 212. It's a flat, thin brush. I'm going to use that eyeliner again one more time underneath now, and underneath the top lid. I hate leaving that like my natural skin color because you can always see it. So now I'm going to get the Carbon, and I'm going to use that 228 brush again, and I'm going to lay it on top of the eyeliner to help set that liner so that liner doesn't smear. I'm going to curl my lashes before putting on any mascara. Now I'm going to use my L'Oreal Voluminous mascara. It's one of my favorite ones. That one is in the Carbon black color. That one you can find at any drugstore, Target, Walmart. It's about $6, $6.99 or something. It's really cheap, and it's such a great mascara. Make sure you get those bottom lashes. Now, right here, I'm going to highlight my brow bone, and I'm going to be using Floof. I'm just going to do a very light highlight. I already have a lot going on. And I'm going to do the inner corners. And there you go, guys. So that is the finishing look. Obviously, I now have lashes on. I did apply some lashes. Thank you guys for joining in on this video again. I hope you guys loved it. And please write to me any suggestions of what you want to learn, and I'll make sure to post something. Bye.